Emma. Okay, we are on the third chapter, More Money Troubles. And soon, now the doctor began to make money again, and his sister Sarah bought a new dress and was happy. Some of the animals who came to see him were so sick that they had to stay at the doctor's house for a week. And when they were getting better, they used to sit in chairs on the lawn. And even after they got well, they did not want to go away. They liked the doctor and his house so much. And he never had the heart to refuse them when they asked if they could stay with him. So in this way, he went on getting more and more pets. Once, when he was sitting in his garden, smoking a pipe in the evening, an Italian organ grinder came around with a monkey on a string. The doctor saw at once that the monkey's collar was too tight and that he was dirty and unhappy. So he took the monkey away from the Italian, gave the man a shilling, and told him to go. The organ grinder got awfully angry and said that he wanted to keep the monkey, but the doctor told him that if he didn't go away, he would punch him on the nose. John Dolittle was a strong man, though he wasn't very tall. So the Italian went away, saying rude things, and the monkey stayed with Dr. Dolittle and had a good home. The other animals in the house called him Chi-Chi, which is a common word in monkey language, meaning ginger. And another time, when the circus came to Puddleby, the crocodile, who had a bad toothache, escaped at night and came to the doctor's garden. The doctor talked to him in crocodile language and told him that the house, took him into the house and made his tooth better. But when the crocodile saw what a nice house it was, with all the different places for the different kinds of animals, he too wanted to live with the doctor. He asked if he could sleep in the fish pond at the bottom of the garden, if he promised not to eat the fish. When the circus men came to take him back, he got so wild and savage that he frightened them away. But to everyone in the house, he was always as kind and gentle as a kitten. But now the old ladies grew afraid and to send their lapdogs to Dr. Dolittle because of the crocodile, and the farmers wouldn't believe that he would not eat their lambs and sick calves they brought to be cured. So the doctor went to the crocodile and told him that he must go back to the circus. But the crocodile wept such big tears and begged so hard to be allowed to stay with the doctor, and the doctor hadn't the heart to turn him out. So then the doctor's sister came to him and said, "John, you must send that creature away. Now the farmers and the old ladies are afraid to send their animals to you, just as we were beginning to be well off again. Now we shall be ruined entirely. This is the last straw. I will no longer be housekeeper for you if you don't send away that alligator." "It isn't an alligator," said the doctor. "It's a crocodile." "I don't care what you call it," said his sister. This picture is showing the animals when they were convalescing from their sickness. They would sit in lawn chairs in the garden. "It's a nasty thing to find under the bed. I won't have it in the house." "But he has promised me," the doctor answered, "that he will not bite anyone. He doesn't like the circus, and I haven't the money to send him back to Africa where he comes from. He minds his own business, and on the whole is very well behaved. Don't be so fussy." "I tell you I will not have him around," said Sarah. "He eats the linoleum. If you don't send him away this minute, I'll go and get married." "All right," said the doctor, "go and get married. It can't be helped." And he took down his hat and went out into the garden. So Sarah Dolittle packed up her things and went off, and the doctor was left all alone with his animal family. Here, there's the crocodile, and that's the sister, and she's telling Dr. Dolittle that she's going to go and get married and leave, because she was taking care of his house. And very soon, Dr. Dolittle was poorer than he had ever been before. With all these mouths to fill, and the house to look after, and no one to do the mending, and no money coming in to pay the butcher's bill, things began to look very difficult. But the doctor didn't worry at all. Money is a nuisance, he would say. We'd all be much better off if it hadn't been invented. What does money matter, so long as we are happy? But soon the animals themselves began to worry, and one evening when the doctor was asleep in his chair before the kitchen fire, they began talking it over among themselves in whispers. And the owl Tutu, who was good at arithmetic, figured out that there was money enough left to last only another week if they each had one meal a day and no more. And this is, see, Dr. Dolittle's asleep in his chair, and the animals are discussing about how they're worried because they don't know where their food is going to come from. And the parrot said, I think we ought to do the housework ourselves. At least we can do that much. After all, it is for our sakes that the old man finds himself so lonely and so poor. So it was agreed that the monkey Chi-Chi was to do the cooking and mending, the dog was to sweep the floors, the duck was to dust and make the beds, the owl Tutu was to keep the accounts, and the pig was to do the gardening. They made Polynesia, the parrot, housekeeper and laundress, because she was the oldest. Of course, at first they all found their new jobs very hard to do, all except Chi-Chi, who had hands and could do things like a man. But they soon got used to it, and they used to think it great fun to watch Jip the dog sweeping his tail over the floor with a rag tied onto it for a broom. After a while, they got to do the work so well that the doctor said that he had never seen his house so tidy and clean before. In this way, things went along all right for a while, but without money they found it very hard. Then the animals made a vegetable and flower stall outside the garden gate and sold radishes and roses to people that passed along the road. But still they didn't seem to make enough money to pay the bills, and still the doctor wouldn't worry. The doctor's not worried. When the parrot came to him and told him that the fishmonger wouldn't give them any more fish, he said, never mind, so long as the hens lay eggs and the cows give milk, we can have omelets and junket. Junket is a kind of pudding. And there are plenty of vegetables left in the garden. The winter is still a long way off. Don't fuss. That was the trouble with Sarah. She would fuss. I wonder how Sarah's getting on. An excellent woman, in some ways. Well. But the snow came earlier than usual that year, and although the old lame horse hauled in plenty of wood from the forest outside the town, so they could have a big fire in the kitchen, most of the vegetables in the garden were gone, and the rest were covered with snow, and many of the animals were really hungry. Chapter 4. That winter it was very cold, and one night in December, when they were all sitting around the warm fire in the kitchen, and the doctor was reading aloud to them out of books he had written himself in animal language, the owl Tutu suddenly said, "Shh, what's that noise outside?" They all listened, and presently they heard the sound of someone running. Then the door flew open, and the monkey Chi-Chi ran in, badly out of breath. "Doctor," he said, "I've just had a message from a cousin of mine in Africa. There is a terrible sickness among the monkeys out there. They are all catching it, and they are dying in hundreds. They have heard of you and beg you to come to Africa to stop the sickness." "Who brought the message?" asked the doctor, taking off his spectacles and laying down his book. "A swallow," said Chi-Chi. "She is outside on the rain spout." "Bring her in by the fire," said the doctor. "She must be perished with the cold. The swallows flew south 6 weeks ago." So the swallow was brought in, all huddled and shivering, and although she was a little afraid at first, she soon got warmed up and sat on the edge of the mantelpiece and began to talk. When she had finished, the doctor said, "I would gladly go to Africa, especially in this bitter weather, but I'm afraid we haven't money enough to buy the tickets. Get me the money box, Chi-Chi." So the monkey climbed up and got it off the top shelf of the dresser. There was nothing in it, not one single penny. I felt sure there was a tuppence left, said the doctor. There was, said the owl, but you spent it on a rattle for the badger's baby when he was teething. Did I? Said the doctor. Dear me, dear me. Here's the doctor looking in his money box. And he says, I was sure there was tuppence left. What a nuisance money is, to be sure. Well, never mind. Perhaps if I go down to the seaside, I shall be able to borrow a boat that will take us to Africa. I knew a seaman once who brought his baby to me with measles. Maybe he'll lend his boat. The baby got well. So early the next morning, the doctor went down to the seashore, and when he came back, he told the animals it was all right. The sailor was going to lend them a boat. Then the crocodile and the monkey and the parrot were very glad and began to sing because they were going back to Africa, their real home. And the doctor said, I shall only be able to take you 3, with Jip the dog, Dab Dab the duck, Gub Gub the pig, and the owl Tutu. The rest of the animals, like the dormice and the water voles and the bats, they will have to go back and live in the fields where they were born till we come home again. But as most of them sleep through the winter, they won't mind that. And besides, it wouldn't be a good thing for them to go to Africa. So then the parrot, who had been on long sea voyages before, began telling the doctor all the things he would have to take with him on the ship. You must have plenty of pilot bread, she said. Hardtack, they call it. Those are it's like crackers. And you must have beef in cans, and an anchor. I expect the ship will have its own anchor, said the doctor. Well, make sure, said Polynesia, because it's very important. You can't stop if you haven't got an anchor, and you'll need a bell. What's that for? Asked the doctor. To tell the time by, said the parrot. You go and ring it every half hour, and then you know what time it is. And bring a whole lot of rope. It always comes in handy on voyages. Then they began to wonder where they were going to get the money to buy all the things they needed. Let me check something. Okay. Oh, bother it. Money again, cried the doctor. Goodness. I shall be glad to get to Africa, where we don't have to have any. I'll go and ask the grocer if he will wait for his money till I get back. No, I'll send the sailor to ask him. So the sailor went to see the grocer, and presently came back with all the things they wanted. Then the animals packed up, and after they had turned off the water so that the pipes wouldn't freeze, and put up the shutters, they closed the house and gave the key to the old horse who lived in the stable. And when they had seen that there was plenty of hay in the loft to last the horse through the winter, they carried all their luggage down to the seashore and got onto the boat. The cat's meat man was there to see them off, and he brought a large suet pudding as a present for the doctor, because he said he had been told you couldn't get suet puddings in foreign parts. As soon as they were on the ship, Gub Gub the pig asked where the beds were, for it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon and he wanted a nap. So Polynesia took him downstairs into the inside of the ship and showed him the beds, all set on top of one another like bookshelves against a wall. Why, that isn't a bed, cried Gub Gub. That's a shelf. Beds are always like that on ships, said the parrot. It isn't a shelf. Climb up into it and go to sleep. That is what you call a bunk. I don't think I'll go to bed yet, said Gub Gub. I'm too excited. I want to go upstairs again and see them start. Well, this is your first trip, said Polynesia. You will get used to the life after a while. And she went back upstairs of the ship, humming this song to herself. I've seen the Black Sea and the Red Sea. I've rounded the Isle of Wight. I discovered the Yellow River and the Orange, too, by night. Now Greenland drops behind again, and I sail the ocean blue. I'm tired of all these colors, Jane, so I'm coming back to you. They were just going to start on their journey when the doctor said he would have to go back and ask the sailor the way to Africa. So this is their ship, see? They're going to go to Africa. But the swallow said that she had been to that continent many times and would show them how to get there. So the doctor told Chi-Chi to pull up the anchor, and the voyage began. Okay, end of chapter 4.